It's probably a little unfair to call Lexus late to the party, but the brand is certainly not always the first to arrive, that's fair to say. This is the UX300E. It's the first fully electric Lexus, and on face value alone, when you look at the price and the spec sheet, it looks pretty impressive. Given it's a Lexus, I've got pretty high expectations. Let's find out if it's as good as I hope it is. Pricing for the UX300E Luxury starts from $74,000 before on-road costs, rising to $81,000 before on-road costs for the range-topping Sport Luxury. Standard equipment on the luxury we're testing here is extensive and includes 17-inch alloy wheels, heated and ventilated front seats, a 10.3-inch central infotainment screen, a 7-inch driver's display, a 13-speaker Mark Levinson sound system, and a suite of active safety technology. You'll be able to spot the electric UX from the regular UX by the electric and UX300E badging, as well as ventilated rear disc brakes. When you buy a UX300E, Lexus also provides installation of a basic 7 kilowatt AC home charger and 3 years complimentary access to the ChargeFox high-speed network, which is capable of up to 50 kilowatts. The UX300E is covered by a 5-year warranty and also comes with access to the Encore Platinum ownership program, which includes access to another Lexus when travelling interstate or to New Zealand for up to 8 days, 4 times during the program period. Lexus design really is an interesting one. I have a feeling with Toyota as well, the brands tend to release a vehicle and it looks a bit edgy and a bit funky, and then as it's been on the road for a bit longer, you start to get used to it a little bit more. We reckon the tail light treatment back here is very signature Lexus. It's got that real sharp edge to it, and I think the UX actually looks pretty good. It cuts a good figure on the road. Of course, let us know what you think in the comment section below. Do you like it? Why do you like it? If you don't like it, tell us why you don't like it. But most important point, you are not an SUV. I repeat, you are not an SUV unless you've got some black plastic cladding. Inside the cabin of the UX300E Luxury, as we'd expect with most Lexus products, you're not sitting in here thinking about what you don't get, because you pretty much get everything. So you're sitting in here thinking, how good is all this standard specification? Couple of examples, a few highlights. 10.3-inch infotainment screen, which has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, works really well. We've tested that. It's reliable, it connects easily, it stays connected. 7-inch driver display, I really like that. That's easy to understand and it's easy to manipulate with the controls on the steering wheel. So you can change a few of the displays there to get what you want on the screen. It works really well. 13-speaker Mark Levinson audio system. I mean, this is the base model car effectively. That's a fantastic audio system. It works really well. Heated and cooled seats. I like that. I love cooled seats, especially in a climate like we have in Australia in summer. They're fantastic. And it's really, really comfortable in here. It feels like a luxury SUV, which is exactly what you'd expect of Lexus. Lastly, probably in the front of the cabin, let's address the elephant in the room, or in this case, the albino elephant in the room, this seat trim. It's comfortable and it's quality, but I don't think this is the color you have when you've got kids, or if you're going to use this as an Uber and there's going to be people jumping in and out of it. This is probably not the color to get. However, you can change that easily enough. Aside from that, up front here in the cabin, it is a beautiful and premium place to be. Let's take a look at the second row. Straight up, the Lexus UX300E is not the SUV that you have if you've got to take someone of my size, so 6 foot, 6'1", from Sydney to Melbourne. There is not a lot of room back here for tall occupants. That's not my driving position. You know that normally I leave that front seat where I have it for driving and I sit behind it. That's not it. I've had to move it about 50 or 60 millimeters forward because I just simply couldn't get in. Even so, having moved that seat forward, I still can't get my feet underneath it. So while there's plenty of headroom back here and enough shoulder room for adults, there just isn't enough knee, leg, foot room, general area down here for you to be comfortable. You do get some amenity though. The seats themselves are comfortable and well put together as you'd expect. It's a Lexus cabin, no surprises there. Heated seats in the back, 2 settings for those, so that's a bit of a surprise I guess for this segment. Nice little added benefit for those of you that live in colder climates in winter. You get 2 USB-C ports there for charging devices. You get air vents. You get a drop-down armrest that's got cup holders in it. And apart from the fact that there's not enough leg room, if you don't have overly tall kids, if they're in their early teen years or younger than that, they're going to be fine back here. But if you've got to move adults around, especially on longer drives, the UX300E is not the small SUV that you buy. Luggage space is reasonably impressive for the segment. I mean, it's about par for the course. It's not huge, but then this is a compact SUV. They're the charging cables in that bag there. You can remove that. I don't know necessarily that you'd leave that in there if you were charging it at home regularly. Flat floor in there. It does drop off a little bit over that lip, so you've got to go over and down into it. And there are some tie-down points at the back there. I'm not a fan of this. This kind of jars a little bit with the whole Lexus experience. We're used to really high quality premium execution from Lexus. And I know this does a job and it keeps your stuff out of visibility for people outside the car, but I would have liked something that was a little bit more premium, looked a little bit less temporary, I guess. This doesn't really look as permanent as we've come to expect from Lexus. But aside from that, for the segment, for the size of the vehicle, the luggage space is pretty handy. Oh, and your tyre repair kit is below that floor there. And of course, electric tailgate. Not the fastest in the world, not the slowest either. Powering both models is a 150 kilowatt, 300 Newton metre electric motor on the front axle, paired to a 54.3 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. 0 to 100 kilometres an hour takes 7.5 seconds. Lexus Australia claims a range of 360 kilometres according to NEDC testing, but Europe's more stringent WLTP test claims 315 kilometres available range. In the real world, we saw a range close to 300 kilometres. Our average use of approximately 17 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometres bears out that 300 kilometre range. The electric UX gets aero-optimised wheels and underbody panels, regenerative braking and bespoke chassis tuning. It's capable of taking on 50 kilowatt DC fast charging and can be charged to 80% in 52 minutes on a fast charge. You're immediately going to love the sense of peace and quiet in this cabin. It is incredibly refined and it's incredibly quiet. Now, there's no surprise there, obviously, because it's an electric vehicle, but it's an electric Lexus, and Lexus vehicles are really quiet and insulated to begin with. Add an electric drivetrain to that and it goes up another notch. So inside the cabin, it's very, very luxurious from that sense. I quite like the way it rides too. A lot of electric vehicles, because they're so heavy, they can crash over even minor bumps and they feel very firm in terms of the suspension tune. But I have to say that this isn't the case. It rides really well. And I think some of the weight of the battery pack and just the complexity of the electric vehicle has been hidden a little bit in the UX300E. So I think they've done a really good job of that. In terms of the way the powertrain works around town, it's very seamless and very smooth. I tend to run around in the most efficient mode that the car has because obviously that's the best way to maximize the battery power that you've got on offer. So I'm currently driving around in Eco, but you've also got normal and sport modes. Don't really feel like you're missing out on too much in Eco mode, especially around town. If you're watching this review pondering the switch to an electric vehicle, there's really not a lot to worry about. When we took this off the charger this morning, it was showing 300 kilometres range. We've still got 200 kilometres range left after pretty much driving around all day and leaving the car running in the sun with the air conditioning on. And I think for most people around town, certainly, 300 kilometres of real world range is actually pretty useful. I don't think it's anything to concern yourself with. And obviously you're going to want a charging system at home, in the garage, in the driveway, wherever you park your car. Plug it in at night. First thing in the morning when you're ready to go to work, fully charged. I really think the transition to full electric works well for Lexus because it sits so well with the premium ethos of the brand. It's smooth, there's no noise from the driveline, no sensation of changing gears. It's very, very quiet, and I think that just works really well for the Lexus brand. In terms of steering and braking, it's all as you'd expect for a compact SUV, to be honest. And yes, this is a little bit heavier. than a regular non-electric SUV of this size, but you don't really feel that too much when you're driving it. So all in all, if you spend a lot of your time around town, and this is pretty good on the highway too, but if you spend a lot of your time around town, UX300E is going to be a really good choice for you. What did I think of the Lexus UX300E? Pretty impressed with it, to be honest. I think it looks really good on the road. It cuts a stylish figure. I don't think it's derivative for the sake of it. I don't think it's too edgy for the sake of it either. I think it's a really well-styled vehicle. It's a good thing to drive. Beautiful cabin execution. It's quiet, refined. It's pretty efficient. And I really think, aside from the lack of second row room and space for taller adults, I can't really find too many negatives. So, for a first electric offering from a brand that we've come to expect a lot from, this is a pretty impressive vehicle. Before we wrap this one up, you know what I'm going to do, you know what I have to do. I have to ask you to click on like if you've enjoyed the video, hit subscribe so you stay up to date with all of our latest video content, and of course, all of the reviews, the full reviews, the review of this car and everything else is at drive.com.au. And if you're in the market for an electric SUV and you want to see a review of a comparable electric vehicle, click on the link up there and you can see Justin's review of the Hyundai Ioniq 5.